Hey there, and welcome to Maven Trends, your destination for the most mind-bending mysteries, jaw-dropping survival stories, and unbelievable true events from around the world and across history. Every week, we dive into the stories that make you question reality, test the limits of human resilience, and uncover secrets long buried by time. Whether it's a castaway's 7-year battle against nature or a mystery lost in the pages of history, if it's astonishing, real, and unforgettable, you'll find it here. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and join us as we explore the strange, the dark, and the extraordinary, right here on Maven Trends. In 1845, a pair of vessels ventured into the shadowy sea waters of the desolate Canadian Archipelago, seeking a mysterious northwest route. At the wide entrance of the passage, they encountered 2 whaling boats that bid them farewell soon after. These were the final people to witness these ships or their crew ever again. For more than a century, their fate remained an enigma, but gradually, over recent decades, the grim truth about the vessels and their crew has emerged, revealing a tale far more terrifying than anyone could have foreseen. This is the saga of Franklin's lost expedition. As always, viewer caution is recommended. Existing in the mid-1800s likely resembled the technological surge of the 1990s and 2000s, or the economic ambitions following World War II in the 1950s, because in mere decades, the world had transformed. The Enlightenment and the conclusion of the Napoleonic conflicts had reshaped much of global society. Steam-powered machines had ignited the Industrial Revolution, and for the first time in human history, humanity was nearing a complete map of the globe. Yet, to finalize it, one ultimate challenge eluded all who attempted it: the Northwest Passage. During that era, England and other global powers were expanding their reach through commerce and conquest. However, the Americas' geography posed a natural obstacle to maritime travel. Since the technology for constructing something like the Panama Canal was still years away, ships had to either navigate the lengthy route around South America and back up the Pacific, or circumnavigate the globe in the opposite direction. Both options were arduous. Thus, even the slim possibility of discovering a pathway through Canada's frozen Northwest Territories was too enticing for the British Admiralty to abandon. Even if it proved impractical for trade, the honor of charting the last navigable waterway on Earth was a prize so grand that some dedicated their entire careers to it. For instance, Sir John Barrow, the 81-year-old second secretary of the British Admiralty, viewed this as an opportunity to crown his career with a final triumph before retiring. Consequently, he commissioned one last expedition and began selecting its commander. Barrow's initial 2 candidates declined. One, William Perry, was weary of Arctic ventures, while the wife of the other, James Ross, persuaded him to stay. The third candidate, Francis Crozier, was overlooked by the Admiralty due to his Irish heritage and humble origins. The fourth, James Fitzjames, was deemed too youthful and unseasoned for such a mission. Ultimately, the 5th choice, and the man whose name the expedition would bear, was Sir John Franklin. This marked Franklin's 3rd attempt to locate the passage, having previously explored by land with mixed results. His earlier effort had resulted in the deaths of half his crew, with survivors reduced to consuming moss and leather to survive. Franklin returned in disgrace, dubbed the man who ate his boots. Despite this, he was well regarded by his men, known for his kindness and concern for their welfare, often leading them in prayers and going to great lengths to ensure their safety. However, he was also prone to overzealousness, sometimes rushing toward goals recklessly rather than proceeding cautiously. Still, his care for his crew in such a perilous region, paired with his determination to succeed, wasn't necessarily a flaw. Fortunately, he wouldn't face the journey alone. Though deemed unfit to lead, Francis Crozier and James Fitzjames joined Franklin as his 2nd and 3rd in command, captaining 2 ships under his authority, the Terror and the Erebus. No expense was spared for these vessels, which were equipped with the latest technology. The Erebus, the lead ship, was a Hecla-class bomb vessel, commissioned in 1826, measuring 105 feet, 32 meters, in length. Beyond this, the ship's wooden hulls were doubled in thickness, with additional iron plating added to the bows and along the waterline for the expedition. They were also fitted with internal heating vents and a groundbreaking feature never before seen in the Royal Navy: propellers. These could be retracted into recesses beneath the hulls to shield them from ice. To power these propellers, each ship carried a converted steam locomotive engine from the London and Greenwich Railway, enabling movement even without wind. These engines consumed roughly a ton of fresh water per hour, necessitating another innovation: desalination equipment to convert seawater into fresh water. The expedition also carried one of the earliest publicly available photographic devices, a daguerreotype camera, and even an insulated diving suit to clear ice from rudders or propellers if needed. While these features are standard today and the Arctic is now well understood, to the expedition's crew, it might have felt like venturing into outer space. Only 6 of the 24 officers had prior Arctic experience, and to newcomers, the region might as well have been an alien world. Compasses faltered due to proximity to the magnetic pole. Months passed without sunrise or sunset. The ocean froze solid for most of the year, and the land was so stark that only white snow, gray rocks, and deep blue waters were visible. On May 19, 1845, the Erebus and Terror departed from Greenhithe, just east of London, embarking on their quest. They carried 134 men, a ship's cat, a dog named Neptune, and a monkey named Jacko, a gift from Lady Franklin. They also brought 2 tons of tobacco, 7,500 liters of alcohol, approximately 12,000 books, theatrical costumes, sporting equipment, and another cutting-edge invention vital to the mission: 16,000 tin cans of food. These included fruits and vegetables to prevent scurvy, marking the first time an expedition relied almost entirely on canned rations. The ship sailed northward, stopping at Stromness in Scotland, then crossing the Atlantic to the Whalefish Islands off Greenland's west coast, accompanied by 2 other vessels. These ships resupplied the Terror and Erebus before returning to England, leaving the expedition to proceed alone. While at the islands, 5 crew members who had fallen ill during the crossing were discharged and sent home. Before continuing, the crew spent a few days ashore, writing their final letters home and savoring the relative warmth. In these letters, they noted that the officers had begun scientific observations, monitoring weather and natural phenomena. Franklin reportedly prohibited swearing and drunkenness, though doubts lingered about enforcing this among the sailors. Overall, the crew was eager and optimistic, ready to embark on a historic adventure. On July 12, 1845, the expedition set sail again with 129 men. 2 whaling ships met them in Baffin Bay, waiting for a break in the ice before escorting them into Lancaster Sound. This was the last time Franklin's expedition was seen alive. After entering the channel, they disappeared, and it would take over 150 years, countless searches and investigations to uncover their fate. These efforts continue today, but here is what we know. Navigation in the Arctic was slow. Even in summer, ice clogged most channels, requiring ships to nudge floating ice aside. If done hastily, this could damage the ship's bows and risk sinking them. This revealed the first fatal flaw in the expedition, unnoticed at the time. The steam engines powering the ships, innovative brass propellers, produced only 25 horsepower at 4 knots, merely a tenth of the power of smaller icebreakers of the era. The Admiralty had included only 12 days' worth of fuel, better suited for heating than propulsion. These engines likely served more as a morale booster for the crew and British public than a practical tool. Consequently, the expedition traveled only about 800 kilometers, circling Cornwallis Island before returning to Beechy Island by the first winter freeze, just 350 kilometers from Baffin Bay. Still, this was respectable progress. During the winter, the ships sheltered in a cove between Beechey and Devon Islands to avoid colliding ice sheets driven by fierce winds. Once frozen in sea ice, the crew piled snow against the ship's sides for insulation. Sails were removed and a massive canvas tent covered most of the deck, providing limited protection from the elements. Over the winter of 1845-1846, 3 crew members were buried on Beechey Island, likely due to pneumonia, though not solely. By then, a second fatal flaw was emerging, one the crew had been consuming for months. The 16,000 cans of food hastily supplied by the lowest bidder were poorly made. Faulty lead soldering left traces inside, resembling wax trails down a candle. Many cans were improperly cooked or sealed, harboring rotten food, botulism, and mold. In 1984, hair and tissue samples from the Beechey Island burials confirmed high lead levels. Shockingly, these levels exceeded what the canned food alone could explain. The desalination equipment, intended to supply drinking water, used lead piping that likely corroded when exposed to seawater, adding to the contamination. Another theory for the high lead levels was a severe zinc deficiency in the crew's diet, causing their bodies to break down bones and release stored lead into their bloodstreams. This combination of tainted food, lead poisoning, and zinc deficiency weakened immune systems, caused mental confusion, and worsened over time. Worse still, the 5 men sent home from Greenland had tuberculosis, meaning the disease was already on board. The following year, the ship sailed south toward King William Island, then on the edge of the known map. It was unclear whether it was an island, forcing Franklin to choose. Sailing east could reach southern waters faster if it was an island, but if not, he'd need to backtrack. Sailing west, the intended direction, seemed less risky. Unknowingly, this led the ships into one of the passage's most treacherous areas. The west side of King William Island funnels ice from 2 channels, trapping it between the island and smaller islets. The expedition sailed into some of the densest ice flows in the world and was locked in place by September 12, 1846, enduring another winter. Back in England, by January 1847, Lady Franklin grew increasingly anxious. While one winter on the ice was expected, 2 felt wrong. She urged, then demanded, the Admiralty organize a rescue, but they remained confident and only began planning a search. Unconvinced, Lady Franklin appealed to the British public, leveraging her connections, including Charles Dickens, who used his fame to amplify her cause. The crew desperately needed rescue, perhaps without fully realizing it. The improperly sealed cans had another deadly consequence. The Royal Navy had long used bottled lemon juice to prevent scurvy, but the expedition relied on canned fruits. With poor seals or contamination, vitamin C degraded over time, unnoticed during the first or even second winter. By May 1847, 8 crew members trekked ashore to King William Island, leaving 2 reports in stone cairns for future explorers. These detailed their wintering coordinates, their Beechey Island stay, the Cornwallis Island route, Franklin's command, and stated, "All well." Written by Captain Fitzjames and signed by 2 officers, the notes mentioned no issues, but that would soon change. The crew likely expected to depart soon, hence the messages, but record-low summer temperatures in 1847 kept the ice frozen through June, July, and August. Modern ice core samples confirm 1845-1859 as the peak of a 50-year cold period, with minimal melting. The Terror began tilting heavily, forcing most crew to the Erebus to share heat and rations. The Terror became cold storage for supplies and accumulating bodies. On June 11, 1847, Sir John Franklin died. Scurvy and lead poisoning symptoms were evident, but little could be done. The Arctic offered no edible plants, and local wildlife, seals, polar bears, fish, carried botulism type E, deadly to Europeans without the Inuits' genetic resistance. By winter 1847-1848, with no sign of the expedition, the Admiralty acted, spurred by public outcry. In 1848, rescue missions were launched from the Pacific, Atlantic, and overland. James Ross, who had declined to lead the expedition, sailed on the HMS Enterprise to save his friend Francis Crozier. After 19 months of relentless winter, the crew set out, weakened by sickness, malnutrition, scurvy, and lead poisoning. Over 20 bodies were found along King William Island, S coast, at camps where the dying were left behind. Between July and August 1849, Inuit reported seeing a three-masted ship near the Royal Geographical Society Islands, with white men hunting caribou near the Adelaide Peninsula, accompanied by a non-Inuit dog, likely Neptune. In 1850, another Inuit group found an abandoned ship with a still-burning stove and bodies in bunks. The main party fragmented further, with many dying at Starvation Cove. Smaller groups reached Chantry Inlet. One group of 4, encountered by Inuit, included only one man starving, as he alone refused cannibalism. The Inuit fed them, but one died of disease before the others continued. In August 1848, a search party found the Beechy Island graves, confirming the expedition's plight. Lady Franklin's advocacy fueled searches, with 11 ships dispatched in 1850, some facing their own mishaps. The HMS Resolute, abandoned during the search, was later recovered, its wood used for the Resolute desk in the Oval Office. The HMS Investigator under Robert McClure found the Northwest Passage while searching, but was trapped and abandoned after 2 years. The Arctic's dangers ensnared even rescuers. The most successful Franklin survivors reached Chesterfield Inlet using a lighter inflatable boat, but couldn't go further. By 1851, Inuit reported sightings of dwindling groups, from 40 men in 1850 to as few as 4, no longer dragging boats. Most or all likely died of starvation or exposure by late 1851. Initially, Inuit accounts were dismissed, delaying searches. In 1854, a Scottish surgeon received expedition items from Inuit, who described a grave with 30 bodies and evidence of cannibalism, claims rejected by the Victorian public and Charles Dickens, who discredited them in print. Not until 1858 did a Lady Franklin-funded expedition find the cairn with the final reports. In 1869, another explorer heard Inuit accounts of meeting Franklin's men but being unable to save them. In 1993, the final camp confirmed cannibalism, with cut marks on bones showing attempts to extract marrow. Most crew remain unaccounted for. In 2014, the Erebus was found in Crampton Bay, preserved near where Inuit claimed it sank. In 2016, the Terror was found in Terror Bay, aptly named. Archaeological work resumed in 2022, promising future insights into Franklin's lost expedition